The civil unrest in Sri Lanka has escalated to unprecedented levels over the past few days as the protests against country's government over the economic crisis continues. Mahinda Rajapaksa, who resigned as Sri Lankan Prime Minister on Monday, is now facing calls for arrest for inciting violence that claimed at least 8 lives. According to reports, Sri Lankan forces have been ordered to shoot at all those who plunder public property or cause any harm. Nationwide protests against the government has intensified over the past few days, resulting in an increase of incidents of clashes with the security forces. Homes of several sitting and former ministers, members of parliament, mayors have been set on fire by the protesters. One ruling party MP was killed during the protest. Now the pressure is on President Gotabaya to resign after the resignation of his brother.
We have the responsibility for the change in society and to this corrupted economic crisis, right? Then our side, we have to try our best, right? So we think we always trying to save the society so we can win through the fight, right? So as well as we invite all the students of the other countries also to join with us.
At Golface area, just in front of the old Parliament building, we're seeing youngsters of the state of Colombo raising slogans against the current government and demanding that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns and moves away from the government. And they have been putting up banners like these which says, let's expel the government, let's change the system. And we are seeing here the Inter-University Students Federation team protesting here for the last 33 days. Their demand is very simple. They don't want the current government. They want a change in system. They want the current scenario to modify and give them a better future. Can you tell us what your demands are, what you want right now from these protests?
Actually, we are just demanding our stolen money back because we are now hopeless in our future, especially as a students and as a youth. We are demanding to leave President Gotabaya Rajapaksa our country and give our safe country back to youth.
Students here who have been assembled for the last 33 days, they're saying that they have lost belief on the Rajapaksas, and right now the only way forward for them is to fight and get their right. Until then, they will continue their protest. With camera person Divyan from Sri Lanka, this is Akshanath for India Today.
Sri Lanka is descending deeper into chaos. The country's administration has now issued shoot-at-sight orders to quell the protests. Reports suggest that former Prime Minister has fled after his ancestral home was set on fire by an angry mob. Take a look.
Lanka is in flames. Violent protests rocking the picturesque island nation. Super luxury cars vandalized and burnt in arson attacks. Plush residences of top politicians set on fire in unprecedented display of public fury. The Indian Ocean nation, grappling with its worst ever economic crisis, is now on the brink of a full-blown civil war. Homes of several sitting and former ministers, members of parliament and mayors have been set on fire by protesters, angry over economic hardship, chronic shortage of essential items and runaway inflation. The house of Sri Lanka's former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who resigned on Monday, was also set ablaze. Protests were staged over acute shortages of fuel and electricity, along with skyrocketing prices of essential commodities. Dramatic images of chopper reportedly evacuating members of ruling party from a stadium surfaced. Former Prime Minister Rajapaksa too left his official residence Temple Trees early on Tuesday after military cleared out protesters. The government imposed a nationwide curfew till Wednesday. Anti-government protesters lined up the streets leading to the international airport to block any ministers leaving the country. Speaking to India Today exclusively, former Sri Lankan Cabinet Minister and cricket captain Arjuna Ranatunga blamed the Rajapaksas.
They allowed them to walk towards them. I think it was a highly planned thing. And I blame the police, I blame the forces. They should have easily stopped this thing. This entire thing was planned by most probably the government, but supported by the police and the forces as well.
At least 7 people, including an MP, have died in the flare-up and hundreds have been injured. With Ruxana Rizvi in Colombo and Ashutosh Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
The Rajapaksas of Sri Lanka are a part of political dynasty that has ruled the country for nearly 2 decades. Mahinda Rajapaksa, the seasoned politician of the family, has been at the helm of things for more than 5 decades now, while his brothers and the extended family have been involved with his rule at different points. The family is now the most hated dynasty, and Sri Lankans want them out of the politics for good.
On 18th April, Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa expanded his cabinet. 17 new ministers were added, but there was a surprising absence of his family members in the new cabinet. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's new cabinet didn't include his other 2 brothers, Basil and Chamal. Neither did he include his nephew Namal, son of his elder brother Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Ada පවතින මේ අරුබුදය ඒ ජනතාව ඉල්ලපු මේ සිස්ටම් චේන්ජ් එක කරන්න හොඳ අවස්ථාවක්. තමුන්නාන්සලට ඒ අවස්ථාව ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒකම මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා මේ තරුණයන්ගෙන් ඒට උපකාර කරන්නට කියලා.
While Gotabaya Rajapaksa is the first non-career former military officer to become the president of the country in 2019, his elder brother Mahinda is a seasoned politician. He was the president of Sri Lanka for a decade between 2005 and 2015. Before assuming the office of the president, he was the prime minister of the country for a year in 2004-2005. After winning the 2019 presidential elections, Rajapaksa family's hold over the Sri Lankan government was complete with landslide victory in 2020 parliamentary elections. Mahinda Rajapaksa became the prime minister. Another Rajapaksa brother, Basil, was appointed in the finance ministry, and the eldest brother, Chamal, became the speaker of the parliament. Mahinda Rajapaksa's son, Namal, was appointed youth and sports minister. The Rajapaksa family has been part of Sri Lankan politics from its colonial days when it was known as Ceylon. Their uncle, D.M. Rajapaksa, was a popular leader and a state council member. On his death, younger brother D.A. Rajapaksa succeeded him. Later, he became the agriculture minister. When he died in 1967, Sri Lanka Freedom Party, or SLFP, offered his position to his eldest son, Chamal. But as he was serving the police force, Mahinda Rajapaksa succeeded his father's constituency and political legacy. At the turn of the century, Rajapaksas were big in Sri Lankan politics. During his first term as the president, his brother and current president Gotabaya was the defense secretary. The Rajapaksa brothers fought and defeated the LTTE, and the dreaded Tamil leader Prabhakaran was killed. Severe allegations of war crimes were lodged against Rajapaksa government, and he denied all. Once the civil war ended, Mahinda Rajapaksa was re-elected as the president. In his second term, his government initiated large-scale infrastructure projects across the island country. He claimed that his government achieved rapid economic growth for the country, with the GDP rising to 7.2% and 7.4% in 2013 and 14 respectively. But his successor government challenged his claims. Each of Mahinda Rajapaksa's presidential elections was challenged by the opposition. When he came back to power with two-thirds majority in 2010, Mahinda Rajapaksa amended the constitution to remove the presidential term limit. It allowed him to contest for a third term in 2015, but he was accused of nepotism and corruption. Though Mahinda Rajapaksa became the first president of Sri Lanka to return to its parliament as a legislator, it would take another 3 years before his political fortunes would once again turn in his favour. A year later, Gotabaya Rajapaksa won the presidential elections, and one by one, in the next 365 days, the Rajapaksa family was back ruling Sri Lanka till another crisis hit in 2022. But this time, people of Sri Lanka are out on the streets, and they want the Rajapaksa clan removed in totality from power corridors of Colombo.
The Sri Lankans will never ever use weapons. We will actually express our right of democracy to tell them to step down.